Are you looking for ways to make money off of your meat rabbits? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video, so stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Redneck video. Again, my name is Chris, and if you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or heck, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. Today we're going to be talking about ways you can make money off of your meat rabbits. Now let me first start off by saying I'm probably not going to be able to share anything with you that you're going to make a huge profit off of. You're not going to make a living off of selling meat rabbits. There's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, meat rabbits around here anyway sell for maybe $10 a rabbit. You might be able to get 15 out of it, but $10 is about average for a good 8-week-old meat rabbit with a good pedigree. Those are rabbits that are going to grow out to freezer size within about 8 weeks. So if you have a litter of about 10 rabbits, just to make the math easy, you sell them for $10 a rabbit, that's $100 in revenue. But you've probably got about $20 or so in feed costs just to get the rabbits up to that size, maybe a little bit more. So even if we're talking $20 in feed cost out of $100, you're only coming away with an $80 profit out of, I got a little bug on me, out of that $100. So, and that doesn't take into consideration all the time you've spent, all the effort you've put into getting those rabbits up to size. They're 8 weeks old at that point. In most places, it's illegal to sell rabbits under 6 weeks old, so you couldn't even sell them any younger than that. You've had to take care of them for 6 to 8 weeks, then find the market to push them to, then sell them, find buyers for them, and assuming you can get them all sold at 8 weeks old, that's your ultimate profit at $80 off of a litter of 10 baby rabbits. That's a lot of work for $80 in profit. Now I have found a few places that will buy rabbits, box stores that will buy rabbits. They're only paying about $5 a rabbit. Again, they have to be 6 weeks old. So you'd have to do tremendous amounts of volume to make that worth it, to really make a profit that you could live off of just by selling meat rabbits. There are some options where you can find, if you wanted to, this is not my thing that I'm not going to be doing, but if you wanted to, you might be able to find medical laboratories that would buy them and some of those kinds of things. It would be a little bit more consistent buying, so you know that you've got a market there before you start breeding. But even then, you're going to have hundreds of breeding does, and you're going to have to do it on a very large scale and have a continuous rotating breeding schedule to keep those does producing just as many rabbits as they can. And you're going to have a very strict cull policy so that if a rabbit is not producing big litters, they don't grow out to size within 6 to 8 weeks, then you're going to have to cull that rabbit from your breeding stock immediately, or you're not going to be profitable because you're just feeding a rabbit that's not producing well enough for you. So anyway, I'm not going to be discussing those things too much. There are also some legal concerns to be concerned with there. There is the famous story about the family in Missouri. I think they were up around the Ozark region near Branson, where they were selling rabbits to, they just kind of started off very small. They ended up selling rabbits, got a big reputation, started selling to pet stores, and they got hit with a hefty fine, a $93,000 fine or something like that. Because they did over $5,000 worth of sales in a year of rabbits, and they didn't have the proper permits and some of those kinds of things. So you'll have to check into that. Now, if you want to sell rabbit meat, you're going to have to do that either one of two ways. You're going to have to do that either by getting certified by, like have a certified processing center that you can process your rabbits at. You have to have government inspections and all that kind of stuff to make sure that you are certified, clean, and all those kinds of things. Or you're going to have to take them to a processor and have them do the processing for you, which will then cut into your profits because they're going to probably charge you $2 or $3 per rabbit, so that cuts a lot into your profits, and that's not something you can really do. What you can do is you can sell rabbits to your friends and family, or to anybody for that matter, as live rabbits, and then offer to do the processing as a favor to them as a friend, because once it's sold to them, what they do with it is their business, does not matter. But again, you're gonna have to do huge, large scale in order to do that. But that's a couple of ways that you might be able to reduce your feed costs a little. If you sell just a couple of rabbits out of every litter and you sell them for $10 a rabbit, that could pretty much pay for the feed cost for your entire litter and basically gives you free meat that you can eat as your family and saves you on your grocery bill. So that's one way you can save a little bit of money. Around here, the market for meat rabbits is not that great. It's not that consistent, so I can't rely on being able to sell rabbits on a consistent basis. There's a lot of people out there doing it. They're pretty easy to come by. It's a little bit oversaturated, and you're just not going to find that. You may have more success if you get into some of the specialty breed pet rabbits, Angoras, or some of those kinds of things, where they tend to be, if you have good pedigrees, you can tend to sell them for a little bit more, and you might be able to make a little bit more money doing something like that. Just make sure you've got the proper permits to do that. You're going to have to check with your local laws and those kinds of things. I can't cover all laws for all places and everywhere in this kind of video, but there is a market for those kinds of things. You might even be able to get through some pet stores and do some marketing through them as well. Okay, another way that I find is way easier to make a little bit of money back is to sell the manure. If you have gardeners in your area, they're going to really like the manure. Rabbit manure is a cold manure, so it does not have to be composted yet. Before putting it on your garden, I should say. It can go straight on the garden, straight on the plants, and it's a fantastic organic fertilizer. So especially if you have a big organic market in your area, you can sell the rabbit manure. Very easy to do. All you need to do is take the rabbit manure, lay it out on screens or something like that, and let it dry, because wet rabbit manure is pretty gross, pretty nasty, and then bag it up. And I just use feed sacks to bag it up in. So I save my feed sacks, I bag it up, and I can usually sell a 50-pound feed sack, big feed sack full, for about $10. And that's a way to just replace some of your feed costs and pay some of that off. But really the money making, or the savings that comes with not having to buy your groceries at the grocery store, is really the profit that you're going to get off of this. And you can kind of look at it this way. If you raise a rabbit up to butcher weight, you're probably going to get have about $2 or $3 into it. So even if you figure $1 a pound on a 5-pound rabbit, that's still way cheaper than buying meat from the grocery store, because the grocery store meat goes for, at a minimum, about $3 to $4 a pound in most cases. So you're really making a profit in that sense, saving yourself about half the cost of buying grocery store meat. So there's a few ideas on what you can do to sell things to make a profit off of your rabbits. The pelts can be sold if you were to tan them out, but they don't sell for much, so it's really not worth the effort to do that. You could tan them out and sell them, and I want to say that a rabbit pelt goes for maybe $5 if you're lucky. Sometimes you can find people that will buy the raw pelts, not tanned, and they're going to want pure white rabbits in most cases. So Californians would work for that, even though they do have some black spots on their ears and stuff. They're still considered a white rabbit, and they give a white pelt. So you could use those as well, and you might be able to get $2 or $3 a pelt out of those if you find the right people to do that. But they're hard to find, and you have to treat them a certain way and make sure that you take care of them just a certain way in order to do that. You'll have to check with whoever is going to buy those from you is exactly how they want those done. You'll have to take extra care when it comes to skinning to make sure that you don't ruin the pelt when you're doing that process. All right, so there's a couple of ideas there. If you're looking at getting into rabbit, meat rabbits as a business idea, you're going to have to go incredibly large scale, and that's a little bit beyond the scope of what I produce in these videos. I produce for my family, for myself, as a meat source for me. That's primarily what I'm focused on to help you guys with. But if you're looking to reduce your feed costs a little bit, then by all means, you can sell a couple of rabbits. Just post them up on Craigslist, post them in a Facebook for sale group, or in your local newspaper. There's usually no laws. Check with your local ordinances to make sure, but there's usually no laws about selling a few live animals here and there. You may run into some specialty city ordinances or something like that, depending on where you live. You might want to check with that. Also, another place to do that would be local poultry swaps, flea markets, some of those kinds of things. If you just show up there with animals, a lot of times you can get them sold off for $5 or $10 an animal, and that can help reduce your feed costs a little bit, because that money goes back into paying for the feed for your rabbits. There's a couple of ideas you can do there, but again, manure, one of the best things that you can do and sell. Not many people are doing that around here. It's not a very consistent thing, and gardeners will just snatch it up just as quick as you can produce it. I'm not selling a lot of manure right now because it's gardening season for me, and I'm using all of it as my own fertilizer, and I've only got the 2 rabbits, so I'm not really producing that much right now. But whenever I pick it back up in the fall, pick my breeding schedule back up, I'll start producing a whole lot more. I'll start saving that stuff up a little bit, and then I can put a little bit of it up for sale, and that will help pay for my feed costs for the next season. So a couple of ideas to share with you guys. Let me know, what's your experience with making a profit? What are you guys doing that's creative to help reduce your feed costs a little bit, to help bring in a little bit of money off of your meat rabbits? Leave me a comment below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, God bless.